Good evening and welcome to a very special edition to #Jeopardy Live Panel. My name is Andy Saunders. I will be hosting tonight. I will introduce these three people beside me in just 1 second, but we have three people who have dialed in, so I will introduce them first of all. The first person I will introduce, returning to Jeopardy Live Panel. We all kind of wish she was here beside us in Guelph live on location at Sapphire Bar, but she is not. Liz Fritz.
Thanks, Air Canada.
Hi.
Ooh,
I have some choice words for Air Canada.
Yeah, you know, it's disappointing. I also asked WestJet if they wanted to take advantage of anything, and they did not get back to me.
Damn.
But by the way, if you have any comments for the panel, you can tweet them in at #Jeopardy Live Panel.
I'm on it.
You're tweeting in questions?
You were saying?
I was okay. I've got two more people who have dialed in. They were on the show this past week. First up, I'm going to go with Sean Cauley. He was on Tuesday's game. Sean, thanks for coming. Thanks for dialing in.
Thanks for having me.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. And from Wednesday's game, the rabbi who did not know about the Marquis de Sade.
Or chose not to reveal that he knew.
Oh!
Kerry Mitelman.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, that's Marquis de Sade. It's Apache that's always going to kill me, but Marquis de Sade is maybe my second least favorite.
Well, I will say Voltaire was not a bad guess. Now the three people to the left of the camera. I'm going to start at my far right, the far left of the camera. Her first time on Jeopardy Live Panel, Kavanaugh, who up until Friday was leading the Jeopardy Live Panel Learned League, Private Rundle.
And then there was a crash and burn because Tom Kelso picked me up and stole my lunch money.
So that's
Tom. He says,
to the left of Pam, to the right on your. Whoa,
Her name's Pat.
what did I call her?
Pam.
Pam.
It's
Nobody's
similar.
paying attention.
It's all good.
It's all good. I answer to anything.
Okay. To the immediate. Oh,
I'm really bad at left and right, so.
Yeah. Okay. So Shea Zellweger,
Thank you.
returning to Jeopardy Live Panel once again. So clearly there was a bet going on as to whether or not Andy screwed up a name.
No. He's just giving me lunch money that Tom Kelso stole from me.
Yeah. Just trying to help her out.
I see.
Share lunch myself.
He's not stopping anymore in Canada. He wants to get rid of it.
This is worthless in America.
No, this had nothing to do with you, Andy. This was.
I'll take it.
And Kerry Greene.
Where is the camera?
Camera's right
It's right
there where Liz's face
Just
is
look
right
straight
now.
at Liz's nose.
See, I can't see that. It's too far away.
Okay, so she just went like so.
Do you want to borrow my cheaters?
No, that won't help me.
Interestingly enough, if you don't remember, Kerry and
That makes
Pat
absolutely
were
no
on the
difference.
same episode. And
Oh,
by
yeah.
the way,
By the way, grudge match. Yeah.
By the way.
I
I
feel
forgot.
obligated to announce that the three people beside me set a record this evening.
And also,
Yes, actually. Without Angela, we could not have done so.
Correct.
And you were greatly missed, Liz. They called
Thank you.
themselves the Fritz Zebras, though.
In your honor.
Yeah, we were the Fritzky zebras.
that is TZ. So we were like, oh, but also you.
So we were cocktails and Liz Fritz.
It's a
Yes.
wine.
Well,
How could you lose?
no.
Whatever.
The person question is tweeted in, what are the panelists drinking?
Oh,
So,
I didn't know.
Carrie, was that
Water
you?
in front of
I'm waiting.
Oh, wow.
I just received a
Me and the
lovely hot
bartender,
chocolate.
we have a little agreement.
Okay.
So.
And Pat,
I'm going with a glass of wine.
Sean, what have you been
In
drinking?
fact, oh, it's not the Fritz.
I'm in Kentucky. I've got bourbon.
Sean,
Nice.
Sean's got the bourbon going. Liz, what is your choice of drink?
Shea Zellweger.
Just water in a plastic cup from a bar.
Okay.
And Jeff, any choice for you? Jeff?
I was a month-old son. He was the one who did.
I didn't hear that.
I think he said Sean was the one who did it.
You
Look at me.
Okay, so I would say the big story of the week this past week was Philip Tew. 3 games, 96,000. Defeated both Sean and Jeff. What was it like playing against them? You guys kind of both dominated on the buzzer, but weren't too very lucky at the Daily Devils. Do you care to speak about that a little bit?
Well, I know in my game, my memory of it was that he got 2 out of 3 daily doubles. I thought Kristen had gotten the one in the first round, and then to watch the show and see him get all 3 of them, and to bet as much as he did out of his pot at any given time, until the last one, I didn't realize how big he was betting.
And then in my game, obviously I was there too, and was in the audience and heard that, just the whole audience just go when he said 19,000, which I can only imagine, Sean, from where you were sitting, sounded even bigger.
Yes.
I was actually really looking forward to playing against him. First of all, he was just incredibly guy, but I also felt pretty confident that I could probably outbuzz him. But I also thought that, his daily double, it may implode. Unfortunately, that happened Thursday and not Wednesday for me. And I also said to him before the game we went in the green, Philip, there will be no shame in losing against you. So I felt there was sort of no downside to playing against him.
Fair enough. Okay. I went back and looked at the tape, and it was 13 seconds that took on tape between the end of the question and Philip actually starting his answer. Now, how long did it feel to you guys?
It felt very long. I don't have any complaints about the length of time. I know I've got a lot of family members that want to write Jeopardy and tell them that he took too long, but it was fair, but it definitely dragged and gave me a lot of time to think about the question and realize how I would have screwed it up. So, because I really thought at the $1,200 level that Vancouver was probably too obvious an answer, and I probably would have chosen Victoria or something just to avoid Vancouver myself.
And for me, I was actually kind of kicking myself because I knew that Crazy Horse was Sue, but was not sure enough to be able to ring in. Turns out it wouldn't have mattered because I didn't know final. But standing next to him, it also felt endless, and I kept trying to say, like, wrong, get it wrong, get it wrong. The show aired. He absolutely knew Apache. He did not. I didn't feel, watching on the show, it did not feel like it took a long time from when it was aired, but standing next to him, it felt forever.
Now, I'm sure you guys heard, many of you listened to Philip's interview that I did with him on Friday.
Yes, indeed.
How was he in the green room with you guys?
He was very friendly. He's a quiet guy. He had been there the day before, and was the person who was left over as an alternate. So in the morning, Gordon Moffat, the defending champion from Friday, kind of introduced us all to Philip. Philip was a little more quiet and shy, and probably wouldn't have spoken up too much. But Gordon kind of wanted to loop him in, and we had a couple short conversations. And he's just a friendly guy, an educator, a professor from Atlanta, and we just kind of talked a little bit about home life and not too much. But he got pulled for the first game, so wasn't a lot of time to socialize after that until the games were happening. So I didn't get to speak to him a whole lot. But he was the joke I've been making is my dreams could not have been crushed by a nicer guy. So.
I'm totally with you, Sean. He was incredibly sweet. One thing that was really nice that if you see at the end of the credits roll of our game, that he and I sort of put our arms around each other, and we were talking about the daily double that he had made, and we actually emailed a little bit last week, and I asked him, "Are you really that much of a gambler?" And he said, no. He said he's really not. But I think he, as a math professor, I think he knew that's both Sean, both for you and for me, that was absolutely the right strategy for him. And I can't help but respect somebody who plays the game as well as he did. I mean, he was a phenomenal competitor.
Yeah, I really think, especially the way I do.
Sorry, one second. Go ahead, Sean. Actually, I'll let you finish.
I was thinking, yeah, given the way I'd been on the buzzer and with the uncertainty about how much time was left after that question, the fact that he went so big made sense to me. That it was, he might as well put it completely out of reach so that no matter what, I couldn't get there if he got it right. And I'm sure he felt very strong. He'd already answered 2 of the questions in that geography category at higher dollar values. So I'm sure he felt good about his chances when he made the wager.
So Liz and the 3 others beside me, I'm going to ask, what were your reactions to the big $19,000 wager, which was an absolute record, by the way. Nobody has ever physically wagered more money on a daily double. But,
You really want to know what I said?
What's the rating on this one?
This is a family show.
well, I can mark an explicit language on iTunes if I have to, but
I said holy shit 3 times in a row, really loud. I was like, he must be really confident in this category. My children came out of their rooms to see what I was yelling about.
what was your reaction?
I was just really excited.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is what people should do.
Yeah.
Every time they get a daily double, just go for it, have at it, see what happens. And it was interesting for me because just the week prior, someone that several of us know, Bill Patrick, was on Jeopardy, and he made some very gutsy daily double wagers, and I was expecting that from him coming in, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But to see Philip kind of carry on that tradition after having sat and watched Bill do the same thing, it was made for a good couple weeks of Jeopardy.
I think
Yeah,
it was
I actually.
perhaps Bill's experience that worried for Philip.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Sean, and then
What's
Liz,
it?
I want to get your take on it.
No, I was actually traveling on Tuesday, the day that Bill was filming, and while I was in the Dallas airport on layover, I saw a tweet from Alex Jacobs saying a friend he'd been working with was on Jeopardy, and I think his quote was, "I feel sorry for anyone who has to play him." And I thought, well, that's what I want to hear on the way to Jeopardy, is that somebody trained by Alex Jacobs is out there. So when I got there that morning, I was kind of scoping out Gordon and Philip both to figure out if either of them were the person that Alex was talking about, and I did suspect it briefly with Philip's wagers, but he definitely seemed to be independent and not part of the greater trivia community. So I was pleasantly surprised to find that I hadn't been out masterminded by Alex as much as I love and respect Alex, by him and his cohort. That it was just a completely independent actor that took me out with such a brave wager.
Not part of the cabal.
Okay, so I work nights, so I was asleep when Jeopardy happened, but fortunately I had it DVR'd because people started messaging me and texting me, asking me, like, what did you think of this? So I was able to go back through and watch it, and I typically multitask while I'm watching Jeopardy, like I might be on my phone or whatever, and just kind of just like, wait a second, what just happened? And then like rewound it, like how much money did he have? Like, did he even have $19,000 to wager? And just like the relief when he got it right, because you're just sitting there thinking, and like you guys thought, I only know like 3 cities in Canada, so. So I was like, it's not that easy, right? Like, it can't be Well, there's like Toronto, and then there's Vancouver, and then the capital is Ottawa, which is more than most Americans know, right?
When I was sitting in the audience and it took forever, I was thinking he didn't know it. I mean, and then seeing it, it looked pretty clear. And I was going back and forth with Keith Williams. I asked him for some guidance and suggestions to prepare. And one thing that he had said is that at some point in the game, you're going to have to make a big wager. It's a question of, is it going to be at the Daily Double or Final Jeopardy? And it's better to do it in the Daily Double than Final Jeopardy. And I think that's exactly, it's exactly what Philip did, which is exactly what he should have done.
I would definitely agree with that. Before I move on, I just have a couple of one more tweet on the hashtag. By the way, if you have any comments you'd like to send to the panel, you're always welcome to do so using the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel on Twitter. I have my tablet here tonight where I have the hashtag rolling through. I have one here from Jay O'Brien. This one's directed to Pat. Make sure you have enough left in the tank for hashtag Jeopardy 518 on Friday.
Whoa.
My response was, no worries, Jay. I'm a pro. Perhaps not a live panel pro, but a cocktail pro.
Feel you.
Yeah, it's got Kerry's influence. Like that's a bad
So, my question for both Sean and Jeff, you guys were obviously very strong on the buzzer to run Philip as close as he did, in spite of eventually being sunk by his large daily double wagers. What did you guys do to prepare for the buzzer? Can you attribute your success on the buzzer to anything?
I think Jeff and I both were toilet paper holder people.
Yep.
My training was I stood in the corner of my living room as far from the TV as I could, standing in the position I was going to be in. My toilet paper holder was in the same place where I wound up holding the buzzer itself, and I just worked on off Alex's voice when I practiced, and it turned out when I got there for the practice game the morning of the taping that I guess my home timing turned out to be the right timing. I had read that if you see the lights come on the side, you've probably waited too long. You're trying to get in between him finishing and the lights coming on, and I don't think I ever saw the lights. I think I just focused on his voice, and my beat that I was taking at home turned out to be the right beat.
I would say exactly the same thing. My mother-in-law was staying with us one night, and she came downstairs and said, "Why is the toilet paper holder missing?" And I said, "Well, let me explain to you what's going on here." And that's Sean. I did the exact same thing. I actually didn't even really listen to Alex. I read the clue and tried to process it, and then come up with my answer, and then waited for him to finish speaking. And again, was lucky enough that timing happened to be the right timing on the show.
Yeah, and that was reading the clue ahead of Alex's was the training, and one thing that worked for me, I had gotten a piece of advice on Twitter from Vaughn Winchell. There was something I didn't know because you don't see it at home, but that the video clues are on that side television, and the printed clue is still in the clue box. That you do have something to read to get ahead. You don't have to wait for Jimmy or Sarah or Kelly to finish their sentence, which is something I didn't know at home, and it was a good tip to have right off the bat to know that I could focus on the written clue while the videos were playing.
And that actually drove me a little bit nuts on the Wright brothers category, because we were told to take that category from top to bottom. And Philip had gotten the daily double, and I was searching for that second daily double, and I knew it was going to be all video clues really long, and I was going to have to start at the 400. And that first clue, I was just like, get to damn Kitty Hawk already. Like, I know that's what it's going to be.
Add that to this forum.
I did not think I was going to hear get to damn Kitty Hawk already.
Is there any other phrase that should have been uttered?
Right.
Yes. You're absolutely fine.
Do you find it so obviously you found it disappointing that you couldn't take that, in the other order. Do you think where do you think the daily double might have been under what specific clue? The one that, because obviously you didn't get to it that day.
I didn't know. I thought, and if you see at the very end, I start to say musician's autobiography. I was trying to at least get as much money in my bank as I could, and I was pretty sure I was not going to be able to hit that second daily double because of how long the video clues were. But I was hoping it was going to be under musicians' autobiographies. When I rang in for Out of Sync, and you can see that I paused, that when the words Justin Timberlake come out of my mouth, I knew they were wrong, but I was trying to be able to regain control of the board, and if I remember, I was going to try to go up musician's autobiography just so that I didn't have to deal with the video clues in Wright Brothers.
That makes that makes a lot of sense. Were you disappointed? Obviously, I'm guessing you both are kind of, I guess, Team 61, and that you wanted to get through all the clues. Were you guys disappointed by the number of clues that went unplayed last week?
In my game, I didn't. I think I didn't really notice it, except that I remembered the board looked still pretty full. Excuse me. When time ran out after the final daily double, the first round I didn't really notice what was left. But I was mentally during his wager trying to figure the math of could I get to his halfway point, with enough questions left, and it didn't matter because the time was out. But that was my first thought was there are some questions here I might be able to put some money together, but I like to see more questions, and there were a couple of the categories I think it would have been fun to see more of. I think the after and before category we hadn't really touched, but one question. So it would have been fun, but I'm not too upset about the pace.
Okay.
And, I was trying to hit that second daily double. Again, ultimately it would not have mattered, and it actually would have put me in a really tough spot because I would not have liked the category of musicians' autobiographies if that's where it was. And I probably would have made a bad tactical decision because I would have had no time, and I might have risked everything, which would not have been enough to give me the lead, which is what I really wanted to have happen. And I'll also say I know there's been some pushback that it felt like Philip took forever to pick the categories. I definitely wanted to get more clues because I wanted to try to regain the lead, but it didn't feel ridiculously slow, even watching it last Wednesday. And I also think that's a good strategy for him. I can't fault him for his gamesmanship if that's what he was doing. And I don't actually think that's what he was trying to do. I think he's just an incredibly nice, patient, slow guy. But if that was what he was doing, I respect that.
Yeah, I think we can, again, agree with that over here.
As long as that is something that you can do within the rules of the game, I think gamesmanship in that regard makes perfect sense, and there's no reason not to. However, I do feel like we know that the rules say in like a Tournament of Champions or something, you have to hit all 61 clues. They're going to go through it. They'll go back and edit out dead time if they have to. You are going to finish this board. I don't see any reason for the show not to make an adjustment and say, we're going to get through all clues every single game. I feel that can happen, and especially when they throw those ridiculous clue crew type things where you're listening to someone talk for a minute. It's cool. I like these videos, but they shouldn't be at the expense of actually being able to respond to clues.
Now, I think, come to think of it, I'm guessing that because that Wright Brothers category was longer, they might have the musicians' autobiographies category that you guys were all avoiding. What was the short clues that were supposed to compensate?
That's probably true.
It's been my experience, at least watching the show, that when they have the long categories, they throw in some shorter clues elsewhere on the board so that you might have a shot of actually getting through everything on the board.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Some things on the hashtag I'm just going to read through randomly from Jason Keller. Let's see here. The next this Jeopardy live panel will be while he's at Scrabble Club. I asked some of the people beside me here already. Situational humor pop quiz. What are the 5 bingos in the letters of hubris plus a blank? If anyone's been to J-Board lately, you've seen the, I guess, general comments about hubris. Oh, Sean, you left one here. So about that second chance tournament.
Yeah, I was listening to the podcast version of last week's panel, and there was all the discussion of the hypothetical second chance tournament, and the discussion of the possibility of reapplying after Alex Trebek retires. And in both cases, I said, "Sign me up."
You're gonna have to beat me in mine.
I'll take on the challenge. I'd love to play some good players again.
Unfortunately, I don't know if I can ask you guys what you had for lunch on taping day, because you guys both played before the lunch break. If you haven't listened yet, though, to the general viewing audience, the interview I did with Philip.
Best lunch ever.
Yes. Or at least best lunch story ever. Did you guys get a chance to listen to what he had to say about lunch?
Yes, and that.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot to his personality. That he was just, no, that's fine. I don't need to eat anything. That's fine. You know, that sounds like that's Philip.
He must be Canadian.
Well, he did say he's moving to Vancouver someday. So.
Was him a Reuben though?
Oh yeah, I think he's definitely owed a Reuben. Maybe he'll get 2 Reubens if he's back for the Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
Maybe Arby give him a Reuben. Because that's real food.
Well, it's better than ketchup on that.
Okay.
Oh.
You know, ketchup in general, it's limited to just a few things. It is.
Okay, so how does the girl feel about ketchup?
Oh.
Liz, how do you feel about how do you guys feel about ketchup on scrambled eggs and macaroni and cheese?
For it to go with scrambled eggs, I also need like hash browns or toast or something. I can't just put it on eggs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
It does.
Macaroni and cheese, no.
See?
I don't do it.
See? Unadulterated scrambled eggs are just gross. So ketchup on scrambled eggs this morning. Perfectly acceptable.
Well, you should put some cheese on the scrambled eggs.
Right.
Cheese
Obviously.
on eggs.
Hot sauce is good.
Again, cheese is a thing.
Cheese on everything.
Also
Yes,
bacon.
and then some more
Have you heard of bacon?
Yeah, bacon's good.
This
but
is a
there's
wonderful
ketchup.
thing. It's pigs take like vegetables, and then you kill the pig.
Shay,
No.
Shay, there is a rabbi on this panel.
And a vegetarian.
Have you turkey bacon?
Turkey bacon.
Tofu bacon.
I think Liz wants to interject with something as well.
So I'm a vegetarian. How dare you?
Oh,
I know you are.
In here.
They make soy bacon, though. I've seen you eat fake meat.
Have you?
Thing.
Yeah,
I know.
It's just bacon bits.
Because she's
I-
a vegetarian.
I think I do have a question, Liz. Can you explain what prompted you to cut the trip to the airport so close that you
Missed
the
thing.
Are you gonna do me like this?
What role pants had in this?
Have you ever?
That was like 5 hours
You
earlier.
need to get to the airport 5 minutes before. That's all that's required.
Okay.
Yeah, Kansas City has no room for a security line, so
They're just like, yeah, come on, sure.
I'm
nice,
actually
nice.
totally with you on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, Shay, what did you say about how long to get to the airport before?
Oh, I just said you only need like 5 minutes to Kansas City Airport. Like that's.
Long enough.
Well,
No one
apparently
shows
you
up
don't.
as early
Apparently there's
as-
a policy. Well, I mean, so
But the Canadians get involved. They're like, why didn't
Hey,
you call
yeah.
In part because there's no room for you to stand if you show up early.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
I've done a
And the
lot of
chairs are so-
traveling in my day, and I've cut a lot of flights close, and I've never had an issue. So, and I get that I was late and everything like that, but I think the part that annoyed me was I was at the check-in counter, and I was reviewing the baggage policy on my phone. I was checking to make sure my carry-on luggage fit within the guidelines and the size parameters. There was no one in line, and the counter agents were watching me do this for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I walked up, they said, "Oh, we're closed." And it's just like, I was right there. Like, you could see me. Could you not have said, you might want to check in now? Like, I just thought they were really rude. So.
That seems very un-Canadian.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the other guy that
let's-
showed up late. He said, no, they're not Canadians. They're from Kansas City. So
Blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
That was a
I
final
would like
Jeopardy.
to, but
It was.
It was.
So we hear from David Kendall. This Jeopardy contestant sponsored by Arby's. Jeopardy Ontario not sponsored by Air Canada. And also Go Team 61. I don't see what's in it for them to not play all clues when they pretty much can. I think there are usually a lot of viewers at home who get disappointed when, oh, I wanted to see those musicians' biographies, and I didn't get to. But
Yeah, I am one of those viewers. I have a tendency toward the pop culture, as you guys may have noticed, and those a lot of times get avoided by sometimes the panel is people who aren't strong in pop culture, and they put that off to the last. I hate to not see those questions. I really enjoy those.
so my next question again for Sean and Jeff: what contestants did you guys think were strong on the buzzer, other than yourselves, of course, in rehearsal?
Gordon was clearly very good. I think one thing that people have missed about Gordon is that I think that he got 20,000 and 16,000 with no daily doubles. I mean, he was really very strong.
What's his score yet?
I haven't.
I think it was
looked,
poor.
but,
Yeah, it was.
His pre-final Jeopardy scores were he did not have a daily double.
Right, he was very.
Wow.
Yeah, he had I think 20,200 on Friday and 16,000 on Monday.
I do have to share that in rehearsal, we do two full rehearsals. So when it came for time for rehearsal, I happened to come in for the daily double, and the category was Old Testament names. And I went on rehearsal, and Shay, you may know this that in the Hebrew Bible, the order of the books is different than in the Old Testament. And so one of the categories was in the King James Version was something, and so someone beat me on that clue in rehearsal because it took me a little too long to process with the King James Version.
That is one thing to remember if you're studying for Jeopardy. They always use the King James Version of the Bible.
Yep.
That's their process.
To To say nothing of the King James controversy from the college tournament.
I had a similar experience in my own practice round where I hit the daily double on a Bible question, and I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And got it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a good day, and I did not have a good day.
Hubris?
Yes.
That's right.
Rubbish.
That was a bingo.
Yes, rubbish is one of the bingos, by the way, in Hubris plus a blank.
We'll be disclosing the other 4 through the rest of the year.
Stay tuned.
I will furbish you with another.
Oh, look at that. There are 3 more.
Then I really don't
That was
remember.
this morning, wasn't it?
That was the
What
end
did
of
we
my
talk about
contribution.
this morning?
Is hubrisy a word? It is not. It is not.
Have it in London,
Fish is not involved.
No, there was no fish.
No fish.
No rub fish.
Except you'll share with
Or
me
fish
what
rub.
happened.
That's right. Fish
Like
rub
that.
lots
Honorary London.
Yeah,
You are.
Like salmon rub
Yeah,
fish.
exactly.
And shut up.
So, to my American guests, how have you enjoyed Canada so far this trip?
Well, the hospitality has been
Yes.
A1.
We have had the best hostess ever.
I've been in country a whole 8 hours now.
Yeah, Liz, sorry again. Liz, at least, Pat made it through. Eventually, she was sick for a couple days, and I almost, you've been going back to Chicago as opposed to through to, I guess, hashtag Jeopardy 518 in a few days. I would have suggested if you could get yourself to Chicago, that you might have been able to join us here.
I know, when I first read of your troubles, Liz, I was like, can you get to Chicago? Because eventually I'm going to get there.
Yeah, they told me that they could fly out the next day for another $600, and I said that's all right. So.
Did you actually utter the words you were thinking then, or did you just keep them to yourself?
What'd you say?
Did you actually utter the words you were thinking in response to that, or did you just keep them to yourself?
Oh, there were so many things I wanted to say. And I was standing in front of this woman, and I was Googling, what's the meanest thing you can say to someone without getting in trouble? And, just wanted to say things like, well, I'm sorry you're bitter because your roots are showing, or your children don't really love you, or things like that. But I didn't say anything, and she was still mean to me. She was so mean. Yeah. This makes it sound like I was being like really belligerent, and I wasn't at all, because I immediately just like started crying. She walked away, turned off the lights on the counter, walked out the front of the airport, and came back in another entrance to get away from me. I was like, I can see you over there.
Would you describe her here as brutish?
That's right. There you go.
I did not hear you. What'd you say?
I asked if you would describe her behavior as British, because I just realized that was another one of the bingos.
That's not the word I would use.
Would it have some of the same letters though?
Yes.
Think of the
Yes.
The last one or the...
Yeah, she was awful.
So far,
Anyway.
we've got furbish, we've got brutish, we've got
Rubbish.
So we've got 2 more. If we can remember them. Hubris plus a blank. Jason Keller has
Give me some time.
on his own bingo list though tonight from Scrabble Club. He has shared them with us. Through 2 games, he's played Emeroids, Dilators, Oracled, Refining, and Poxiest.
Are hemorrhoids a Cockney rectal
I was
condition,
wondering about
or
that. They pronounce herbs, so.
I've got some hemorrhoids. I'm gonna trick it with some herbs. Is witch hazel a herb? I don't know. We're playing a little game of how many times can we make Andy blush? Just
Yeah.
so he doesn't.
It's not
I think
that
we're
hard.
at 7.
You could handicap the fact that Andy's mom has left.
Aww. No more Mama Saunders.
He's ignoring us.
Yeah, right.
You know, dead air is not good for podcasts.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
It's like,
See,
there's not that air, you're talking.
I am going to look up actually. Why are this is not working?
You're gonna look up hemorrhoids?
I
don't know why.
Oh, and he's like,
I have hemorrhoids.
Oh, I remember one thing I did.
It's a 1965 song. Woo!
It started at 45. Wait, there's a thing called Zizzy Hop.
Yes, there's a thing called Ziziva where you need a word lookup for Scrabble, and
isn't that super close to Kaya's nickname on
that is
Dayboard?
in fact true. That is in fact
Yes.
Kaya's handle on Dayboard.
So
So
I get credit for knowing that?
Yes.
Wait, I got
yes,
another
you
one.
do.
I got- Oh, did you just say it?
sorry.
Are you showing answers?
Yeah, there are answers on the screen here.
Oh man, because I just came up with one and then I heard her say I have the other two, I think.
Okay,
Are they furnish and burnish?
burnish.
Oh, furnish doesn't have a B, does it?
Yeah,
No.
No.
but bushier is the other one.
Bushier?
Bushier.
Yes.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Was Brennan
Is that a
bushy?
word you use frequently?
Well, no, but I know Brennan. 'cause he
Well,
was
that
on
one's a bit
TFC,
bushier.
and,
It's, you know.
I just sort of made an impression. I don't know. Maybe I was showering at that point.
Well,
I'm not going to connect those dots. I'm just going to.
if you happen
Andy's lost control of this entire thing.
if you happen to
knew
know,
that would happen.
I guess how Steve did today, some of this panel does. So I'm not sure if you guys have watched today's, but please don't spoil it for the West Coast. Steve, the champion on Friday. How much? I mean, what was he like? What was he like in the studio, guys?
I got to.
Yeah, Sean.
I'll let Jeff go ahead first. He spent more time with him in the seats, I think. So.
Yeah, I sat next to him in the van over. Also, really, really nice. And as I think this comes up every single time anyone talks about their day on Jeopardy, which is just everyone's really, really nice. Or most people are really, really nice. At least our tape day, everyone was very nice. Yeah, he was. I think he was very excited. I think he was definitely antsy to be able to get on because he was kind of dumbstruck that he won. He was just so surprised that he got Final Jeopardy right. But he and I are now talking on Facebook, and he's just a really, my experience was a very good guy for the 10 hours I spent with him.
Yeah, I ran into him in the hotel that evening. I was heading out and ran into Gordon in the lobby, and Steve was coming back in his cab at the time, and so I knew just from running into him that he had won. I did not know in between what had happened on Thursday. I left at the lunch break. I saw Jeff's game was the last game I saw. One thing I think, and I cannot remember who said it, Jeff. Maybe it was you and maybe it was Steve. We came in and into the studio and got seated in our seats after the original little spiel behind the podium, and somebody said it was very surreal, and somebody else said it's more hyper real. I think that's the conversation I remember having with some of the guys, because I think in our group, all the women in the group were the first ones to go and practice, so they had us guys up in the seats together chit-chatting for a couple minutes.
So, pursuant to the behavior of some of the people to my right at this point, Pat has put a poll on the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel. How much do you think Andy regrets having a live panel with alcohol involved? You have a lot, and never again as your choices.
I like how it's polling.
Yeah.
I like how that's polling a lot.
It's 100%.
That's
Yeah, we have
we are
2 votes so
unanimous.
far as a lot. I'm going to click never again just to get
Oh,
rid
come
of.
on now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
no fun.
Bad form.
The thing is,
Bad
I
form,
haven't had any alcohol yet this evening, and
Well, that's your problem.
Duh.
It's not relaxed.
Yeah, true.
Do you know?
Because your parents were here.
no, it's not because my parents were here.
Oh my
Do
God,
you know,
get
can
the
I
man a drink
I also had
want
0
dark,
alcohol,
please?
just for the
while you're
record.
driving.
I am
He's
driving.
Did you see what Fred said? Come on.
What did Fred say?
What said
He
Fred?
said Andy will always ask about the drink, so someone should accommodate him.
Yes, that's true.
Oh,
Bring
boy.
Andy the darkest beer you have.
It's coming. It's coming. He's pouring the.
In the
Dino,
largest
the
glass
lovely owner
available.
here at Sapphire, is pouring me a drink, and it is
Yes.
going to be very nice.
I'm pretty sure Andy's worst offender has not had a drop of drink tonight, though. So. By which I mean me.
I'm known to be tactless without alcohol, so.
As am I. We are brash Americans in this strange Canadian
Indeed,
frontier.
Oh yeah, subtitle for this panel. The ugly Americans.
See, Angela, you don't want to be sitting
Yeah, I don't want to
do
be
you?
sitting there going, it's okay. Okay, David Kendall says alcohol plus Jeopardy live panel equals epic fun.
Let's see. I knew
Love
I liked
it.
that guy.
This is the first Jeopardy live panel I have done without a glass of alcoholic beverage in my hand.
Oh
So,
no.
You have quite a bit of caffeine in your system, however.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a lot of sugar.
I have a lot of
yeah.
There's a
sugar.
lot of sugar.
Yeah.
It's almost the same.
Copious amounts of sugar.
Oh
Exactly.
yes, hashtag never forget Dallas. The last time I had multiple people with me in the taping.
Ambulance just went by.
I know.
I thought it was
Casey was
police
wondering,
coming to get us.
we do not have a stroke.
Coming to take us away.
Did I hallucinate this song? I haven't
Yes,
had
you
that
did.
much wine.
That was real. That was real.
Worry, man.
Sorry.
Sorry, Andy.
Sorry.
Sorry, Andy.
Ooh, sorry. See, I've got them all talking like Canadians.
Yeah, that's why.
By the way, we have a couple of people who are off camera who are saying some things.
It's
Stop
the peanut
encouraging
gallery.
us.
We call them the peanut
Hey.
gallery.
Then what do you
I'm the hostess with the mostest. Come on.
The most.
Guys, who voted never again? Why can I not see that?
That was
I
Andy.
voted never
That was
again.
Andy. Okay.
So I guess I'm gonna quickly wing in this week in Jeopardy history. Obviously, the best I could come up with. 1 year ago, on coming up, I guess Friday-ish, or at least last year on the Friday was Michael Bilo's first game, which means your anniversary is coming up. Thank you for the side launch
I
there.
would take my decaf up like that.
Decaf.
Yeah, because she'll be awake all night.
Freaking sleep.
So Kerry,
Sleep.
I guess we
Bare
can.
naked ladies.
Yeah.
1 year
I
anniversary
guess-
for our two ladies.
I know, 1 year anniversary. How has the last year changed you guys?
Oh boy.
He does not really want to know the answer
No,
to that,
I don't either.
does he?
Remember, the internet is watching.
I have befriended my father.
True.
Yes.
I think that's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Not only that, I have eaten her
That's right.
and learned to leave.
So she has
So
achieved
she
I
has
have bested my mom.
gotten revenge.
then closure type stuff.
I think you'd rather have beaten her on Jeopardy.
Well, this is true.
There would be money in that.
that involved money.
There would be
So,
no scar.
But you know what?
Just saying.
Bragging
Even
rights.
had I managed to beat her that day, I would not have been second runner-up in the tournament of champions. So things turned out as they should have.
Very gracious.
It's been a good year. It's been a very good year on many levels.
And I will say I don't normally watch the Saturday repeats, but while I was between getting the call and being on the show, I watched as many episodes as I could, and yeah, Kerry's wins were on during that period, so it's some of the rare episodes I've seen twice are from that stretch there.
I'm sure I stood out.
Oh, of course, yes.
or not all. One of those. But I do think we need to give a shout out to Kaya.
Yes,
That was an
absolutely.
astounding game.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, no, I mean, and she is my top second chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's definitely up there, but she is my top second
Not in
chance.
the same league as
Yeah,
Kaya.
she-
so. I remember seeing her game and just thinking again. She made the absolute right call, and just I felt heart went out to her.
Yeah.
So I guess for my next question, obviously, I guess you could say we managed to convince Keith Williams to stay on the air. He is continuing to do his final wager videos.
But we did not convince him to come.
I know we did not convince him to come here, but apparently he bought a new computer.
Well, that was a bad decision.
Which
Really?
is actually
One or the other.
income that he could have
Yeah,
done.
he
Is
could
it-
have had this.
Is this computer going to be dedicated to final wager videos?
Well, whether
or-
it is or not, he could have had this.
Right?
I'm trying to clarify why this is important.
Keith, get a Dell, come here.
My Chromebook was like 180.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have
Hear that, Keith?
best of both worlds. Option.
So how glad is everyone that Keith is still doing his videos? That's actually my question for you guys.
Very glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very critical. It was critical for my preparation. So.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was worried, given that my game had no strategy needed still in the final Jeopardy, that it might be one of the nights that he skips anyway. And then when he threatened to not do shows, I thought, well, I'm two episodes away. I'd like to. I want to be in a final wager, and I want to be in a cool Jeopardy Stories tweet. Those were my kind of two nerd goals. So I was glad it happened.
You didn't want to make the Hot Jeopardy Tumblr?
I just didn't.
I wanted
expect
to
that.
make Hot Jeopardy and Faces of Jeopardy, and I got neither. I was so mad. That's all I wanted.
I told my wife that someone put a hashtag that I was a little bit of a silver fox, and that was a hashtag Jeopardy hottie. And I turned to my wife and said, I don't quite know what that means.
Embrace it.
Just go with it.
I'm not seeing
Yes.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know.
Fox, dude.
My wife said, how old do they think you are?
I think my wife's the only one who thinks I'm a Jeopardy hottie. So.
Aww.
Is this a great country or what?
This
one.
All right, that one.
Either one.
Are we talking about Canadian or Trumpistan?
No, you keep that. We don't want
Make Canada great again.
We already got rid of Ted Cruz. Come on, people.
Yeah, how did you guys manage that?
lucky.
Very
lucky, very,
very
lucky.
By the way, Kerry is about to be, I think you're going to very much enjoy that.
Indeed, I am.
She got flat white.
I did.
What is that?
I think Jeopardy Live last today.
Hey, Fred.
I love you,
Thank
Fred.
you, Fred.
We should do this every week.
Fred's in Wisconsin. He should have come.
Yeah, that's right.
We're gonna have to
By
do
the way,
this
Cindy
again, right?
Press is upset that she was not invited.
Oh, everybody
Everyone
was
was invited.
I think we didn't spread the word wide.
invited. Okay.
I just saw on Twitter, was like, hey, I'm coming too.
Yeah, that's.
They were like,
totally
oh,
Fred.
shit, it's going okay. I guess so.
Cindy, we're sorry.
Yeah.
No, you totally could have come.
Yeah, but, well, the problem is I don't think she's friends with me on Facebook, so
Oh,
that probably
well,
had
there's
something
that.
to do with it. Yeah, I might
Just
have.
follow Carrie on the tweets. She knows
Yeah.
where everything's happening.
I
I'm
think
going
small
to the
children
everything.
might have made it problematic too. But,
Yeah, that's a
Are
very
you going
good
to
point.
but that's your
apparently
decision,
I am.
not ours.
Hey, look at you.
Because I don't want to go home and be an adult.
That being said, we did see Don Kipton on one of our events
Wait,
earlier this
coming to
weekend.
Jeopardy 518 or
I think I am. That's,
do you need me to talk to us?
hopefully not. Hopefully he did
Oh,
his charts this
hashtag
weekend.
We have a tweet from Matt Carberry. Is this a great country or what? Clearly refers to the most serene republic of Trebekistan.
Absolutely. I am so glad you get me.
I don't think Matt realizes just what sort of a nerve he has just touched by saying most serene republic. So, Tony Hightower, Stella, Trivia NYC. I am sorry for giving you guys that question. I'm actually going to change it because I've submitted it around to you guys, and I'm actually going to change that one question and give you something else. It's coming tomorrow, but
This is quite a bore.
I told you, I'm good at the fireman's carry.
There we go.
okay.
They're generous here.
Sorry, fireperson's carry.
I'm just going to open this up to anyone. Does anyone actually have any sort of questions? Any panelists have any questions? Any audience members have any random questions they want to ask of Jeopardy contestants?
All you guys were on Jeopardy?
Yes.
These three were, and the two people who are, all three people who have dialed in and were all
The
on Jeopardy.
disembodied voices you're hearing also.
Are you able to go back on Jeopardy?
No.
No.
Not until
And then maybe.
Which is
Why?
pretty soon.
Why?
It's in
Yeah,
your
it's in the
contract.
contract.
Just
In his
cannot.
contract?
No,
In
no,
our
they're
contract.
When you go on Jeopardy, you authorize that you have never appeared on Jeopardy with Alex Trebek. That is.
Yep.
So-
They can in
Yeah.
fact
Use
use
our
our likeness in
real time.
holograms on Mars if they
Yeah.
so choose.
Forever.
Can we ask how much you won on Jeopardy, or if you won?
1,000, 2,000,
2,000.
$1 million.
Not quite
About
enough.
200 grand. Yeah, it was quite
That's
successful
good.
in Jeopardy.
She's responsible for me only winning.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Liz
have a
won
second
one game. That is correct. That's correct. You won once.
Yeah.
And Sean and Jeff, they lost on consecutive days this past week. To Philip Q, who won $96,000.
But in only 3 games.
So okay, that
I
reminds
did
me.
not match that
Speaking
rate.
of which, what does the panel think of his Tournament of Champions chances?
Oh, I think they're good.
Outstanding.
They're good.
I think the fact that Jeopardy can place the cutoff whenever the heck they want to.
I think they want him back.
I think they want him back, and once they get to the point where there are 14 people ahead of him, they're going to close that up and say it's time to do a tournament.
Wait, I entirely could be wrong here. We still have no 5-time champions.
Right.
That's correct.
He's currently 4th.
We
in
in
the
fact have
standings.
only 2 4-time champions.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 4-time champions.
So
we have
unless
college
they're going to
winner.
hold the Tournament of Champions in 2020.
Which, I've started to think, what's going on here?
Right.
So,
Well, they could push it back to next May, but
even so.
I think if we get 10 more people that jump ahead of Philip in the standings, plus the teachers tournament winner, they're going to be like, let's close
Yes,
this
there's
thing up.
no way. There's no way Philip is.
He
not
is
in the
rating
next-
gold. We are bringing him back. Genius.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the parallels between him and Michael Bilo are astounding.
So obviously you guys lost to him. How do you obviously would want to say, well, I lost to a guy who made the Tournament of Champions. So would you agree with that statement?
That's exactly when I called my family afterwards. I said I lost to somebody who's going to be in the Tournament of Champions. So yeah, I remember Maggie talking about Maggie, who's one of the contestant coordinators, that when things go viral, they're really, really happy, and Philip made Jeopardy go viral for a couple days, so I think that's going to help their ratings.
I can attest to the fact that Philip went viral. He definitely, our website traffic at the Jeopardy fan was significantly higher Thursday, like Wednesday, Thursday. As his run got longer, there were a lot more people who were visiting the website just to read about Philip. Also, I guess, watching the interview or listening to the interview. But by the way, if you haven't listened to the interview with Philip, I think
It's brilliant.
It is.
I'm going to listen to it again.
Well, and, is it Philip or is it Mr. Coco?
Mr. Coco is a wonderful dog.
I don't know that you can separate.
It's true.
By the way, if you do go to the Jeopardy fan website, you can see pictures of both Philip and Mr. Coco. He was nice enough to send me some. Did you guys? How did you guys?
Deluge you with some,
You were deluged
as a matter of
with
fact.
2.
Yes, I was deluged with 2. So how did you guys feel about Well, Sean, actually, Sean, I'm going to ask you, after you lost Tuesday, did you stick around for the Wednesday game?
I did. They asked, do you want to stay? Do you want to go? And my first thought was I just want to go. And then I thought, well, they're going to take the lunch break after the next show. Sure, I'll stay for the next show. I didn't have anybody in the audience. My son was 3 months old at the time, so my wife was at home. But so they wound up seating me, I think, in the same row as Philip's guests. But I was up there, and all the people that were in the area were guests of other people that week, and they seemed they were very complimentary. And but I enjoyed Jeff's show. I didn't get to pay complete attention. I was a little distracted by what had just happened, but I got to see a lot more when it was on TV. But it was enjoyable. And then at the lunch break, I took the opportunity to leave.
Did you take the opportunity to leave, or did they kind of shoo you away?
Well, they were shooing everyone away, and I thought, I don't really feel like coming back and trying to get back in here. And I had tried to make the most of my time there in L.A., and I had tickets for a show that night, so I decided to go ahead and get back, so I get back to the hotel and rest up a little bit before I went out. So.
Are you implying that they shove you out, possibly like Air Canada people? Yeah.
No, Amy was much nicer than anyone from Air Canada.
Yeah, Amy was very nice, but it was very.
There is a taxi waiting for you, and they.
Yeah. There's it's sort of a shock. You sign for your check, and then you go outside, and you're standing there holding a tote bag with a hat in it, and your clothes that you brought, and waiting for a cab on the sidewalk.
Yeah, and you're like, you left the other things out of my bag. Nope, it's just a hat. It's really just a hat and a bag in your swag bag.
Yeah, and you don't have the money yet, so you really feel like, well, they gave me a hat.
They run a very tight ship.
Anyone?
No.
I certainly don't know someone who claims to have a giant collection.
Sorry.
No.
Not me.
That name rhymes with jazz.
Sean, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
No, I didn't realize. So I guess both of us, because my son is 6 months old, and you have a I think another son. I have a 2.5-year-old. How did you balance? Because I had a little bit of tension in my house between the spending every possible moment cramming and actually, with my 2 young kids.
Yeah, I had the same situation. I have a 2.5-year-old, and then the other one, he's now almost 5 months old, and was 3 months old at the time I went, and it was pretty good. I guess I didn't cram as hard, and for as long. I was taking a couple of books with me to work every day for my lunch break, that kind of thing. But I definitely there were a lot of nights my wife was rocking one of the kids to sleep, and I was going ahead and watching Jeopardy with my toilet paper roll and my notepad to calculate all the final Jeopardy wagers. And then the last couple of weeks, she actually we waited until the kids were in bed, and she would help me keep a Coriat score, that kind of thing. But her big focus was she wanted to offer, if I needed to go stay in the guest room or something so that I wasn't getting up with the baby for those last few nights and I could get on a sleep schedule, but I didn't do that. I went ahead and up until the night that I flew out, I stayed on the regular schedule. So the night in the hotel was probably my best night's sleep in a couple months.
So we have a couple more. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that I felt the same way. I got a great night's sleep, and I went to sleep. I wanted to go to sleep early at like 8:30 California time, which would be 11:30 New York time, and I fell asleep and I woke up, and I was so excited. I got a great night's sleep, and I looked at my phone and it said 3:15 a.m., which was the New York time. I went, no, too early.
Yeah, I went back to the room, and I was probably back in the room at 7 California time, and winding down, ironed my clothes, and was going ahead to try to do some reading before bed. And there was a lady in the next room. I had an adjoining room with the doors locked, and the lady in the next room was on her phone at full volume. And I couldn't, it was too early in the night, California time, to complain about the noise. But I thought, it was a little tough. But I woke up at 4:30. I had a text message from somebody at home on their way to work, wishing me luck. That I guess didn't think about the time difference. But it was that 7:30 at home, which is sleeping in by like an hour and a half for my usual schedule. So I was actually pretty rested. had the hotel breakfast and then back up to get ready for the show.
So we've got a couple more tweets on the hashtag. First up from Jerry Shaw. Finally tuning into hashtag Jeopardy Live panel. Glad to see that the Jeopardy Ontario crew haven't depleted their stores of alcohol yet.
No. We keep moving.
We know where the shops are.
Yeah, but keep moving so that,
And then of course, from Shea, who tweets in, so that I can read things out. Jeopardy Live panel is running slightly long this evening. Good thing it's being recorded in Canadian time.
It's a 25% discount.
Exactly.
I think it's a 23%. It's a solid exchange rate, though. It's like 77 cents.
I better get the money up
So we've been only going like
It's
40
around 77 cents. I think last I checked, around 4 o'clock, it was 76.9.
See, I'm old enough to remember when it was just a fixed 65-35 rate.
10 USD gets you 13.09 Canadian right now. My phone tells me these things. Thank you, phone.
And I grew up in upstate New York, so, I know these things. Like,
I remember
Canadian
when the
currency
Canadian
just
dollar
accepts
was higher before.
I used to cross that border a lot.
All the time.
well, yes, but that was recent.
Okay.
So do we have any other questions between panelists at this point?
Hey, so people who were contestants this week, did you have watch parties? And if so, were they awesome?
And by which we mean, did you follow Liz Fritz's recommendation for Jeopardy?
Or not. I mean, I have a fellow man of the cloth here today, and I say my church watch party was not a Liz Fritz party.
I'm going to assume the rabbi's party was not either.
I mean,
Oh
there is
no!
Sacramento
Oh,
Law.
so we had at our house we had only about 10 or 15 people because we have 2 young kids. But my old congregation where I used to work, they rented out a bar, and there were 50 people who were, which was amazing. And so I was very honored by the love from my old congregation.
Very nice.
Yeah, we had a good party. We did not have a Liz Fritz style party. We didn't have a Jeopardy, but we had the cake, which I'll have to tweet out the cake picture. I know it's on my Facebook, but I'll have to get it on Twitter for people to see. My wife had a cake made that was a Jeopardy board with my ideal categories, and she threw just a heck of a party. Yeah, we had a great crowd, family and friends. It was we're in a market where Jeopardy's on at 7:30, and a lot of people had to skate right away and get their kids home and get their kids to bed. It was a school night, but it might have been a little wilder if we'd been on the Friday show. But on the Tuesday show, things didn't get too crazy.
Can I make a suggestion? Or I want to run something by Liz for your, I guess, a proposed rule for the hopeful eventuality of Philip returning for the Tournament of Champions. That being that for every second that Phil pauses on a daily double, drink.
Just keep drinking until he stops. Yeah.
I'm putting alcohol poisoning.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's a health risk. I really do.
Touche.
That is not for amateurs.
Well, I don't think Jeopardy is for amateurs, to be honest with you.
There you go.
I would like to see one in which every time Philip uses a 1950s approved, what's the word I'm looking for?
Colloquialism.
Yeah, colloquialism.
Yes.
I want to see a drink. Because, golly, those are fun to listen to.
Gee whiz.
Gee whiz.
Indeed.
Yes, I love it.
I have a general shout out to anyone who can get through their own watch party without alcohol.
Yeah, that was not me.
I bow before you, my friend, because
It was 3:30 in the afternoon on
Oh.
Tuesday, and I was sitting in a Sunday school classroom.
Okay, well, there's that.
We didn't have snacks.
I fled to the East Coast where I could watch it at 7:30 p.m.
And I DVR'd mine so that I could party.
I just couldn't face people watching me on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
My 2.5-year-old loves the Hometown Howdies. We had to watch that about 8 times at about 6 o'clock.
No.
Again, Daddy.
Yeah. My TV station actually did use the Hometown Howdy. I was stunned, but it was on 3 or 4 times that day. I had people sending me cell phone videos of it, and then I actually saw it during the 6 o'clock news that night.
Yeah. Yeah, mine too.
Wish Zellweger.
That's me.
Oh,
I had to record mine like 4 times because I'm not good at that.
Okay, but you know who was worse? Alex Jacob. How many speak up, Alex? Speak up.
Yeah, mine was actually was bad enough after the 2 times through. Maggie said, "You got to do better on the show." So I'm surprised it was watchable at all.
When I did mine, I thought, like they'll be able to edit it down, so just take a second and get set before you start speaking. So I was like, and then I started, and they did not edit it out, so it just looks like I'm staring at the camera for like 2 seconds before I start talking. It was awful.
So I have a question for Sean.
Okay.
Sean, who is your big, handsome cat?
Oh, that's Cicero. I didn't know he was in the background
And it
there.
keeps pacing.
Yeah, he's a fairly older cat. My wife's had him since she lived in Vermont years ago. So he's good 13, 14 years old, I think.
Wow.
What's his name?
Cicero. He's the king of the baseball. So.
That's a good name.
Well played.
Yeah, he's Cicero. The other cat's Cleopatra. So.
Nice.
And we had a dog named Nero. So there's been a lot of world leaders.
See, I was hoping that, I was going to take the musical theater tack, and, when I hear Cicero, I kind of move on to Lipschitz from
Chicago.
From Double Tango of Chicago. So,
Yeah, but then you have to have a cat named
I think we're done here.
So do we have any other questions that want to go through between panelists here?
Well, I think I would be remiss if I didn't at least tell an Alex Trebek story. The conversation at the end of my game against Philip and Kristen during the closing credits, the first thing Alex said to us was, "I can only imagine for the two of you when he said Vancouver, the thought going through your head was, oh shit," and I think that's Alex very much nailed it on that one. So.
Alex Trebek has never said that word in his life.
No, of course not.
Sean, what did you think of his interaction with Kristen during her little question and answer time?
That was a little odd. It was I was still kind of parsing over mine. I had said something when I talked about meeting the people involved in the Faulkner story. I said we met an old woman who knew him, and I thought, old woman, that's a horrible thing to say. She was 98 years old, but it was a terrible thing to say. So I was so worried about myself. I didn't really notice it until watching at home how odd he was. It wasn't the oddest thing I saw that day with Alex and Contestant, but that's someone else's story to tell. I won't embarrass, but somebody from one of the other games. During a commercial break, things got a little weird.
Yes.
And Jeff remembers that one. So.
Yes,
You can't tease us like this.
Yeah.
You gotta tell the story.
Well,
Exactly.
it was Elena from Jeff's game. Elena from Jeff's game. There was the interaction during the first segment of the game where she tried to answer a question twice, and Alex kind of cut her off. And then during the break, when he was talking with the crowd, he made a sort of an old-fashioned chauvinist remark about that moment, and said, through 2 marriages I've learned, and I don't remember if it was don't interrupt a woman or a woman wants the last word or something, and Elena, I guess, came up with a retort, and Maggie encouraged it, so they opened up Elena's mic so that she could tell Alex, if you're ever looking for wife number 3, I'm not your girl. And it was funny and a little awkward, but then Alex immediately had to interview her, and then in the interview she got a little argumentative with him, so things were just a little off and strange, and that's what led to him saying after the Mr. Coco story.
And it's a weird. I had no recollection of that whatsoever.
Yeah, that was the part I remembered. I didn't remember how her interview had gone. So after that commercial break was over.
I remembered that her interview was testy, but I was also, thinking about preparing for my interview, so I was not really listening to what Alex was doing there. But now, I definitely remember that it was really tense between the two of them. And like, and now Geoff Mitelman. I'm like, where do I go now?
I thought it was a great, fun moment for Elena. I think she did really well during the commercial break with that. I guess things got a little weird during the interview, but she was great. She was one of my favorite people that I met that day, and I was kind of hoping for a little better turnout for her. But it definitely was entertaining and was a sort of an Alex Trebek classic moment.
No shortage.
You know what? I have to say, I was reminded with my interview with Philip that when he kind of said something to Philip afterward, after Philip's run ended. But it reminded me a lot of when he was chiding Jennifer Morrow for math not being her strong suit.
Math not your strong suit, Jennifer? That's right. He did say something. What did he say to Philip?
You think I'd remember?
Oh, it was about drugs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Drugs not working for you this game?
Yeah, after Philip's run ended, he was like, the drugs wear off?
Well, and Sean, do you remember that?
But
Joe, do you remember that at rehearsal, it was a rehearsal that John Lauderdale, who's the stage manager, was wearing a leather jacket, and Alex was saying, like, kind of shocking things about the leather jacket.
I think it was Glenn that had the jacket, but yeah.
Oh, Glenn, right.
Yeah, because he came out dressed like Neo from the Matrix to run our practice games, and it was a strange moment. But he wore the jacket really the entire rest of the day, or at least until lunch, the whole time I was there. I know at the end of our game, after Alex's "oh shit" comment, his next thing was to apologize to us for some of the sloppiness he'd had that morning with having to re-record things. Which I didn't think was that outrageous. He had maybe 2 things per game so far, but he.
Percocet?
It might have been. It might have been.
And Chardonnay.
Yes.
That's his favorite.
Yeah, he said he'd had a little trouble sleeping, and it had, I think, a cocktail on Monday night, and Tuesday it worked wonders, and he had a great Tuesday, and then Tuesday night he tried the exact same cocktail, and I guess it didn't. He didn't wake up as easily Wednesday morning, so he was a little fuzzy. He had one of the categories on Mondays. He flubbed the explanation. It was one of those with the letters that will appear in this order,
Right.
RDR, HAR, and he just really flubbed the explanation. And when Gordon called for the first clue, they immediately blanked it, stopped the game so they could make sure the contestants understood the clue. And then I think during the interviews of their game, he interviewed Amanda, Darby, and then went to Philip and said Gordon Moffat, and they had to restart that. So he had a couple flubs in the Monday game. It wasn't as bad in our game, but the one thing I remember in our game was on the geography clue that started "Good Lord Almighty." He didn't hit Almighty the right way to make the pun work. So he called it Almaty or something, and they had him re-record. But he was very apologetic for not being on his A game that time of morning.
I think that's kind of what makes Alex so great, is that sometimes he is human and yet he'll still apologize for it. Sometimes, yeah. So, any other questions at this point? I hear crickets. So, for everyone here at the JeopardyFan.com and Jeopardy Live panel, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. The next panel will be back at our normal time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Sunday night. So, to you guys, Liz, really sorry you couldn't join us here. Boo Air Canada.
I'm never flying Air Canada, ever.
Never.
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 I will stop flying with them immediately. Not that I ever have.
Also to Sean and Jeff, thank you for joining us and dialing in and putting up with myself and the other three beside me.
Hey, wait a minute. Some of you are
No, thanks. It's been a lot of fun.
This was great.
not me.
I'm pretty sure it's Shea.
Yeah, Shea.
Yeah.
Clearly Shea, clearly Shea.
All of the alcohol I've been consuming.
Yeah.
All those religious people, those religious people, they're just terrible.
Exactly.
We
That's
are.
Exactly.
We are. We're.
So,
Yeah, Andy's never doing live panel in a bar ever
do
again.
we have access to a priest?
Certainly not with ugly Americans.
Because we could have a priest, a pastor, and a rabbi walk on a Jeopardy live panel.
What is this, some kind of
Oh. I don't know if we have access to a priest. Pat, can you help us? I don't know.
Absolutely. I would totally help.
You're a catholic.
I'm a Catholic.
Yeah.
I got 4.
Catholic,
And
Catholic.
5 litter boxes.
So as I was saying, for everyone here at thejeopardyfan.com and
Good night
Jeopardy
and good luck.
Hey, at least I know I can. I am not going to fire myself. So unlike Dallas, I don't have to apologize on behalf of Jeannie.
Well, shots, everyone.
So for everyone here at jeopardyfan.com, thank you for tuning in and have an excellent evening. If the panelists want to stick around for a couple of minutes, you don't need to disconnect quite yet, but I am going to end the broadcast. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Hey.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.